Everybody wants to know how to get rich. By the end of this here video, you all know what the wealth formula is and how to use it to make you rich. Good day to you folks. Money Jim here, your money pal. So what is the wealth formula then? Well, it ain't figuring out how much money you got. Oh no, it's way more useful than that. See, the wealth formula shows you how to become rich. There's 4 parts to it, and Jim here is going to take you through each one. When you understand it, you'll realize it's been staring you in the face the whole time. Okay, enough jibber-jabbering. Let's get stuck in with part number 1, your income. That's right. First part of the wealth formula is how much you're earning. Makes sense, don't it? If you earn a lot, more likely to end up rich than someone who earns a little. But notice I said more likely. Just because someone earns a ton of money, it don't mean they're guaranteed to get rich. There's more to getting wealthy than that. Even so, you still want your income to be as big as you can. Plenty of ways you can go do that. You can get qualified and trained up in a high-paid profession. You can work overtime or take on another job. You can do freelancing or set up a business. That part's up to you. But however you go about it, just make sure you earn it as much as you can. But don't go working yourself so damn hard your hair's falling out. You still got a life to live. But as you'll see from the next steps, the wealth formula starts here with your income. So if you ain't maximizing it, you'll be holding back what you can do with the other parts of the wealth formula. Talking of which, let's move on to part 2, shall we? And that's your savings rate. How much of your earnings you setting aside. So after you paid all your bills and insurance and groceries, you had some fun money spending too, maybe paid off some debt if you got it. Your savings rate is what you don't spend. So what kind of figure should you aim for? Ideally, you want to be setting aside 25% of your after-tax earnings minimum. Now, if that just ain't possible right now, because you early in your career or you living in some big expensive city, then you gotta build up to that 25% over time. Don't take too long though, because wealth will be passing you by until you get there. Once you do, if your earnings keep growing, you can keep going and setting aside more than 25%. Heck, I know some folks with a savings rate of over 50 or 75%. But like I said, make sure you ain't living a miserly, miserable life just to get your savings rate up. You gotta find that balance where you putting aside a big chunk of your money, but still having fun. And don't go thinking you're gonna be keeping your savings in cash, cause you ain't. As you're about to find out as we move on to part 3 of the wealth formula, investment returns. See, with all those earnings you setting aside, you're gonna invest them. After you paid off your debt and got a nice fat emergency fund, that is. Investing is what's gonna grow those savings. It's up to you how you do it, but if you ask me, there ain't many better or simpler ways to invest than in a total stock market index fund or ETF. Of course, you can do your own thing. What I would say is, however you invest, make sure you ain't chasing silly high returns and could come crashing back down. Nice and steady normally does best in investing. All you gotta do then is add in the final part of the wealth formula. So last, but by no means least, part 4 is time. Yep, old father time. See, how wealthy you end up depends a whole lot on how long you invest for. Real wealth don't come quick. It takes time to build up. That's why over half US millionaires are over 60 and over 3/4 of them are over 50. And you know why? It's because they've had enough time for their investments and real estate values to get turbocharged by compound growth. That's where you start to get gains on top of gains, and then more gains on top of that, and on it goes, getting bigger and bigger like a snowball rolling down a mountain. Time, more than anything else, is what can grow your wealth and help you go from an average Joe to a multi-millionaire. And you know what that means? Go get investing pronto. Because the sooner you do, the longer you'll be investing for, and the more compound growth can work its magic on your money, and the richer you'll get. So there's the 4 parts to the wealth formula: income, savings rate, investment returns, and time. Like with any formula, you gotta link them all up. You can't get much simpler than this. You simply multiply them. So the wealth formula is your income multiplied by your savings rate multiplied by your investment returns multiplied by time. So what that means is the bigger each of the 4 parts are, the richer you'll get. Which one should you focus on? Well, most people focus on investment returns. But that shouldn't be your priority, believe it or not. 2 reasons why. Number 1, you ain't in control of them. Plenty folks think they are, but they just kid themselves. See, whether you're a stock picker or a mutual fund investor, most of your gains are driven by the market, and no one got no control over that. Of course, if you invest in index funds or ETFs, your returns are almost exactly what the market gives you. And here's reason number 2 why you shouldn't prioritize investment returns. They don't make as much difference as other parts of the wealth formula. See, over the real long run, you might expect gains somewhere between 8 and 12% a year on average. If you're lucky, you happen to be some stock picking genius, maybe you could get an extra couple percent. Even so, those are pretty small numbers, ain't they? It's time that turns them into 100, 500, 1000% gains. So how long you invest for should be priority number 1, because that's going to make the biggest difference to the wealth formula and the biggest difference to how rich you become. Next up should be your savings rate. Nearly everyone thinking about their investment gains, but hardly no one thinking about how much earnings they setting aside to invest. Yet your savings rate can make way more difference to your wealth. Let me prove it to you. Here's Jill and Jane. They both earn the same $60K and gonna invest for the same length of time, 30 years. Difference is the savings rate and investment returns. See, Jill saves 10% of her earnings. That's $6,000, while Jane saves 25%, so puts away $15,000. Jill averages 10% investment gains each year, while Jane don't do so well and ends up with 7%. Who do you think ends up with more money after 30 years? Surely it's Jill, no? Her gains are nearly 50% higher than Jane's. Well, Jill ends up with just shy of $1 million, while Jane ends up with over $1.4 million. Because Jane's savings rate was higher, she ends up with nearly 50% more money than Jill, even though Jill's returns were nearly 50% higher. Still think you should be focusing on your investment gains? I hope not, because how much you setting aside to invest can make a darn sight more difference to your wealth. Now let's talk about how important your income is. As I said, you want this to be as high as you can. It's the starting point for everything else. But here's the thing, it also ain't as important as your savings rate. Again, 2 reasons for that. You can earn as much as you like, but if you spend it all and save nothing, well, you ain't ever gonna get rich. If you earn $1 million but save nothing, you're poorer than someone earning minimum wage but saving something. And reason number 2, most folks ain't in control of their earnings. In a lot of cases, it's whatever their employer pays them. Sure, you can negotiate a high wage, get a promotion, a big fat bonus, switch to a high-paid job, or even earn income from your own business. But that's all easier said than done, and there ain't no guarantees. Most of them might not come around very often. Of course, they don't mean you shouldn't try. You sure should do your darndest to increase your earnings. The point is, whether you're an employee or business owner, you probably ain't in total control of your earnings. Just like you ain't in control of your investment returns. But you are in charge of your savings rate. Let me ask you this, what should you focus on more? Something you can control or something you can't? I think you know the answer to that one. So there you have it, the wealth formula. Income, savings rate, investment gains, and time. Now you know what you should be focusing on most. Saving as much of your income as you can and investing it for as long as possible, because that's what's gonna make you more wealthy than anything else. See you next time, sunshine.